Hi everyone, thanks for coming along to watch this YouTube on video interviews, do's and don'ts. My name's Lowry and I work in Channel 4's Early Careers team. So we have a longer video on the platform all about the Channel 4 recruitment process. But just to recap, when applying for a role at Channel 4, you'll be asked to do a number of things at different stages. So the first stage will ask you to submit your CV and the additional questions found in the job description onto the Channel 4 Careers website's portal. You'll then, if shortlisted, be invited to a hire view on-demand interview, which is the topic of today's YouTube session. Following that, if successful, you'll be invited along to a final stage interview with the hiring team before, fingers crossed, being made an offer. So today, like I said, the focus will be on that hire view on-demand interview stage. Hire view is a bit of a disconcerting experience for most of us. With hire view, you'll be asked to log onto the hire view platform. You'll be sent all the information in an email if invited to this stage. You will then be on your laptop or a tablet like this, and what will happen is questions will pop up on your screen and you'll have a certain number of minutes allocated to respond to the question. Typically, we ask around 8 to 10 questions, but what's disconcerting about the hire view stage is that there isn't someone on the other end of the screen. So you're essentially looking at yourself, recording your responses to these questions, which can be a little bit off-putting because the beauty of an in-person interview is that you have someone's body language, you've got a bit of rapport, so it makes it a bit more enjoyable. But we're hoping this session will help you prepare for the hire view interview stage, so when it comes around, you'll be feeling a little bit more comforted about what it's all about. So firstly, we'll just think a little bit about how you might prepare for a hire view interview stage. So the first photo here doesn't really apply. You won't get a chance to prepare questions you'd like to ask because there won't be anyone else on the other side of the screen, like I said. Definitely have some water at the ready because you'll be doing a lot of talking. You won't necessarily need a pen and paper. However, there is about 30 seconds between the question popping up and you having to answer the question. So if you'd like to scribble down a few notes, if that's helpful to you, by all means, you can do that. Like with any interview, so this is applicable to both the hire view stage and the in-person stage, prepare some examples in advance and have some words in front of you as prompts, again, if helpful. Some people will just find that more distracting, but you can certainly start to think about what types of things we at Channel 4 might ask you. So it might be about your prior experience, it might be about the role, it might be about the team you're looking to join. Do have a look online because there are tons and tons of examples of interview questions that can just really help you get in that frame of mind, start thinking about your experience, and then when it comes around to the questions, you might have some pre-prepared answers. Definitely in advance of the hire view stage, this will only put you in a good position were you to progress to the final stage. Research the company and reread the job description. In most cases, in any interview stage, there will be questions about the company, why are you applying to Channel 4? What is it about Channel 4 that appeals to you? What do you know about Channel 4? And of course, there'll be job-specific questions. So what about this role appeals to you? How do you think you meet the skills that we've outlined in the job description? So it's very important that you're fully up to speed on what the role is all about, as well as the company. Here are some types of interview questions you might see arising, and these are applicable to both hire view and the final stage interview with the hiring team. So you might get some broad ones, which are very much just there to build rapport and for people to get to know you. So tell me a bit about you. What are you currently doing? Tell us a bit about your professional, personal experiences to date. There might be some behavioural questions. Tell me about a time when you worked as part of a team. Tell me about a time when you managed conflicting priorities. These behavioural questions are very good ones to pre-prepare in advance. So do think about the experiences that you have and how you can link them to types of behavioural questions you might be asked. There might also be some situational questions. So imagine you were in this role and you got to the office at 9 a.m. and you had 5 tasks to complete by 10 a.m. How would you prioritize these? So these are a little more difficult to prepare for because they tend to be on the spot. Do feel free to take your time, have pen and paper at the ready in case you'd like to make some notes. Say, let me just think about that before talking through your answer to the recruiter. Again, you probably won't see as many situational questions and broad questions in higher view because they often rely on actually being able to have a conversation with someone, but certainly you will see behavioural questions. We've added in this quote by Mark Twain here: if you tell the truth, you don't have to remember anything, because it's always quite apparent to recruiters when someone isn't telling the truth or is embellishing a bit too much. Always better just to speak to your own experiences. We appreciate if you're applying to an entry-level role at Channel 4, you might not have too much prior experience, and that's absolutely fine. We're looking for transferable skills, so do think about things that you've been doing at school or college, or things outside of school and college like volunteering, babysitting, dog walking. These have all given you fantastic skills that could transfer really nicely to an apprentice role, an assistant role in an office. So don't underestimate what you've achieved and what you've done. A really good method of answering questions comprehensively is using the STAR approach. So when you ask the question, think about the situation when responding, the task, the action, and the result. So for example, if you ask a question on tell us about a time you led a team, you might be thinking about a situation where that was applicable. So the situation was I was in Brownies and I was the team leader. The task was we had a project to complete. So as the leader, I had to delegate everyone their roles. The action I took was to do this in a team meeting and give everyone their roles via a Word document so it was clear. The result was that we all knew exactly what we were doing and delivered the project on time. That's a very quick example there, but you see how that can be used to really provide the recruiter with a comprehensive response when asked a behavioural question. The STAR method won't always apply to questions being asked, but it can be a really effective tool for the right question. It can be a little bit uncomfortable to do this, and it's certainly something that comes with time, but do use I when talking about actions taken rather than we. It's tempting to kind of diminish what you've done and what you've achieved and kind of put it down to a team effort, but it's important in interviews to make sure that you're putting yourself front and centre. Definitely be positive in talking about your previous roles and colleagues, as that always comes across better to recruiters than someone who says, I'm leaving my previous role because I couldn't bear my team. That'll start to make the recruiters ask certain questions. And finally, to loop back to that top bullet point, do take a moment before answering any questions. It's much better to take a second, pause, breathe, have a sip of water, so you're responding with a really structured response as opposed to waffling and being incoherent. So this brings us back around to higher view. Here are a few tips on making it work for you. When you get an email from us inviting you to that higher view on-demand interview, there will be a demo, so a short video running you through how the platform works. It's very user-friendly. There's also a chance to practice how it will work. So in advance of actually doing the live recording that's submitted to us, the recruiters, you can have a bit of a run through. When it comes to the higher view stage, try and find a quiet area with reliable internet connection. Nothing is more stressful than if your internet cuts out, you don't know whether what's been recorded so far, whether the link is still applicable. Of course, these things happen. If they do, just get in touch with us for skills@channel4.co.uk so we can either issue you with a new link or reassure you that no, you managed to submit the recording before anything happened with your tech. Also really important for you to find a quiet area so you can avoid any distractions. We recommend you using headphones to prevent feedback. We do have cases where we watch higher views and someone is just using their audio mic, and it can be really difficult for us to understand, meaning they might have to re-record the higher view, which is not nice when you've got it over and done with and you're looking forward to progressing and hearing back with your role. Check the lighting beforehand so you aren't in shadow. Although it's a case where it's not a live interview where you can see us, it's really nice for us to be able to see you, to see your kind of facial expression, to get to know you a little bit. So it's important that the lighting is right, because again, that's then less off-putting to a recruiter if the lighting's off. We're kind of sitting there the whole time trying to decipher who you are. We recommend having a pretty plain background. Again, that's to really not distract yourself, but also so it doesn't distract the recruiter from what you're saying as well. So yeah, a plain, clear background works best for HireVue. Don't stress about dress code. Certainly at Channel 4, we have a very informal dress code, so we're really not concerned about what you're wearing. We're concerned about the content of your answers and your motivation and enthusiasm for the role you're applying to. And finally, don't panic if things go wrong. HireVue does put you under some pressure because it's recorded responses in a certain time frame. So we completely appreciate that sometimes you might lose your trail of thought. And don't worry, it's really, you've got about 8 to 10 questions, so we'll be able to gather what you're trying to get across in that time. So don't panic if a couple of your answers don't go exactly how you'd like them to. Like I said, if you're invited to a HireVue on-demand interview, you'll receive an email from us which includes a demo and how the platform works, and also a chance for you to practice before you do the real thing. If anything goes wrong and you'd like to find out more or just ask us some questions in advance of your recording, then do get in touch at 4skills@channel4.co.uk. Typically, we give you about a week to do the recording, so you'll get sent an email, say, on the Tuesday, and you'll have until the following Tuesday to submit it. Please don't leave it to the last minute. Your link will expire after a week, and it might not be a case where we can reissue you another one, because in the interest of fairness, every candidate should have the same amount of time. Thank you so much for watching, and best of luck with your application.